When the summer solstice starts and we're sitting on a beach or fishing at the lake or just taking a break, the countdown clocks have started, fight songs pass the time. The days may run together, but you know that in our mind it's always Saturday. Take me back to Saturday. Saturday. Give me those 12 Saturdays. Spot the ball. March Madness is a blast, and we love baseball games. But nothing beats the feeling of having a killer slate of games. It's always Saturday. Take me back to Saturday. Saturday. Dreaming of all Saturdays. Spot the ball. Spot the ball. Oh, college football. Sat at your day.
The small, lay a big hit and pass a kick the ball. This game is for us all. From Seattle down toward the Keys, this game is you, this game is me. Cast dogs and steer, either tree. This game is America, so sing it loud with me. College football forever. College football forever. Downtown LA, Starkville, sit. 1 week you're up next, take a dip. Run the rock or let it rip. This game is America. All say, can you sing it with me?
We just stepped on her face with a hot-tail Logan Crawford nose. Whoa, Nelly!
College football forever. College football forever. College football forever. College football forever.
College football is a year-round discussion with these two. Here's JC and Morgan. Mike Morgan of ESPN and JC Sherbert of 24/7 Sports have you covered, beginning right now.
And good morning and welcome. It's another installment of JC and Morgan. He's JC Sherbert of 24/7 Sports. I am Mike Morgan. Great to be with you. Our producer is Mad Dog, Phil Molinax, pulling all the levers and switches behind the green curtain. Behind me, if you're watching on YouTube or X or anything else, you'll see a stadium that I showed much of the summer, certainly bits and pieces of it. And there's a reason why I showed lovely Hard Rock Stadium. It's because 40 days from now, back then it was like 200 days from now, 100 days from now, 90 days from now. But now we can say 40 days from now, the national championship game will be played in lovely Miami Gardens. That'll be at 6:30 Eastern Time on ESPN. And we know 2 of 12 teams will be participating in that grand event. We say it all the time, JC. We beg and we yearn for the start of college football. We're willing to trade in valuable days of our lives just to get there. And then when it gets there, it's like, whoa, pump the brakes, man. Too fast. That's right. The regular season is over. Conference championship week is over. And we're down to 12, and then we're down to a number of bowl games, several of which teams didn't seem to be too excited to participate in. I can still find value in some non-playoff bowl games, but that's just me. A lot of talk about the selection, of course. We'll get into that. We'll get into the playoff that is around the corner. And we don't have major coaching news to talk about today, but there is still ramifications of everything that went down on the coaching front. And you still have major hires on the coordinator front for a number of programs. Going back to my my common theme, particularly in the SEC, where's the O, man? There's a lot of programs that were desperate to find an OC to help them find some better offense. We would never find a better JC. He's one of one, and he welcomes his presence now and speaks fluently and articulate. JC Sherman.
Absolutely.
There we go.
Absolutely. I got a little background too, a little Miami-esque football.
I see that. Yeah.
It was,
Plane overhead and a foot. Did you create that, or did you find that?
I created that one. I decided to turn over. You know, I was using kind of the included backgrounds like the fishing lake and stuff, and I was like, you get a little playoff.
You're an artiste. A lot of people don't know this about you. A thespian, a songwriter, and also you have a little bit of artistic. For those that might have followed some of the artwork on the Elite Media Network Game of the Week, that's all JC. He would come up with these things. And I'm like, damn, where'd you find that? I did that, man. Okay, sure.
AI has allowed me to become a 5-tool player.
Player.
Because I can't draw, I can't play an instrument, I can't write music. I sing okay, but only in karaoke. And Mike's only heard me sing karaoke once. It was awful, so he doesn't really.
No, I disagree with that. It was actually
the full breadth of it. But no, but you know, you can do that for me if I have an idea. So I do use it, and I'm sorry to all you. It comes out of my brain, so it's just sometimes you need a little help to get there. But it's good. You know, certainly a lot of controversy this year again with the college football playoff committee and the bracket and Notre Dame. And it's kind of funny, Mike, you know, as much as people talk about big brands getting the benefit of the doubt, I mean, financially, Miami does have a bigger national following than local following, but it doesn't give much. You don't make more money not including Notre Dame. Last year, you didn't make more money not including Alabama.
Right.
So, you know, I don't think it's that. I think just like everything else in college football these days, there's no centralized leadership. There's no plan. There's no organization. And we're really, honestly, Mike, between that Lane Kiffin thing and all that, we're in an every man for himself. Here, take the lifeboat. You know, it's like the Hunger Games right now. And that's conferences, and then that trickles down to programs. And then there's nobody can get on the same page about anything. I don't know what's going to happen. I just think it's unfortunate because I believe if the Virginia Cavaliers had beaten Duke on Saturday, it does not get in. Notre Dame gets in. I just, you'll never convince me. And I agree with the head-to-head argument. And by God, the committee should have considered that. But then you got some cockamamie explanation for, well, we didn't compare them side by side till BYU lost. You didn't know BYU would probably lose to Texas Tech, Hunter. You and those people in there eating popcorn and peanut. You didn't really kind of anticipate this. You just now came to that conclusion that could happen. And so, now we decided to do that. Sorry, kids. Park's closed. Moose outside should have told you.
Moose outside should have told you.
It reminds me of that line every time, the late, great John Candy.
Great doc.
It's you know, and I'm not standing up for Notre Dame. A lot of people love to see them get it. And I think there's debates to be had about them joining a conference. Do they get special treatment, all that? But you can't just pull the rug out and switch it. I mean, especially when they don't play. When last year you were like, well, if they don't play, we're not going to reevaluate them. It's done. Well, what changed? What changed? I mean, basically it's like, we can't leave the ACC out, you know? And it comes out, Notre Dame's mad because the ACC advocated for it.
Oh, they did more than advocate.
Yeah,
They basically trolled Notre Dame on their own network for about
My
48
God,
hours.
dude.
I don't think I don't think that went over very
didn't
well
go
with
over
Mr.
well in
Bavacqua.
South Bend. So I don't know. I mean, that was, now we have two group of 5 teams yet again. I know SMU wasn't a group of 5 team last year technically, but they're 1 year removed.
Yeah.
You actually had 3 last year because you had half of James Madison's roster at Indiana, Boise State, and SMU. So now we're down to 2. But the rules are weird. 12 sucks. We'll get into all that in the JC5. But I like this bracket much better. I think there's more compelling matchups, at least 2 of the 4.
And seated kind of properly,
Yeah,
but not terribly.
good,
Seated better than last year.
Better than last year.
Although I think they missed the mark. I don't know how, for example, Ohio State is seated above Georgia. When you stack up and on what? Based on what did you do that?
They have a common opponent, 1-1, 14-7, 1-1, 35-10.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one's a conference champ and one's not.
Right. And one plays in a better league. I don't want to spend too much time on seeding because in the end, you still got to win the games ahead of you. But I
do have something about that I'll get to
in the 5. Okay, so I don't want to steal too much thunder on the 5. I'm just going to say a couple things real quick. The sin is not that they took Miami over Notre Dame. The sin is that for a month, this is basically the committee with Notre Dame was the girl that is out of your league, but she still will go to dinner with you, especially if you're buying. She'll still go on what you think it's a date, but it's not really a date because you're taking her out and you're being seen with her. But at the end of the night, she gives you a kiss on the cheek. That's basically what the committee did to Notre Dame. They gave you a false sense of hope because for whatever reason, in their infinite wisdom, for the better part of a month, they kept Notre Dame ahead of Miami when everybody on the planet saw two lost teams and a head-to-head matchup and said that doesn't compute. And it didn't compute. And no universe did that compute. If you had a Notre Dame team that's scheduled like they used to schedule, that might have computed. Maybe you could have made a case. So that's where the committee did, if you want to say, did Notre Dame wrong. You know me. I'm the last person to buck for the U dog. I mean, I could care less if Miami gets in this thing. They'll have, a couple thousand fans, none of which that have ever been to the campus, that'll cheer on the U with gold medallions. But they deserve to be in over Notre Dame, in my humble opinion. And let me just say one other thing on Notre Dame, because I think you might have a counterpoint, and this might be coming straight from Mrs. Sherbert. So I don't want to get into I don't want to battle 2 Sherberts on a Tuesday morning. Yeah. These were Notre Dame's last 5 games with their FPI rank, and it could easily be some other ranking, but you get the idea. Mm-hmm. Boston College, 87. Navy, 70. Pitt, 37. Syracuse, 100. Stanford, 81. Now, I realize some of those are due to speaking of, she'll let you kiss you, but not much else. Your affiliation with the ACC, like they're good enough to kind of schedule some games, but we don't watch it. We're certainly not going to marry you. We don't want to be a full-fledged ACC member. But at the end of the day, Notre Dame's schedule's flimsy, and they had 2 quality opponents at the beginning, and they lost both games. So, I can't sit here and shed a tear for a 10-2 Notre Dame team whose biggest win is what? USC, Southern Cal? Yeah, Southern Cal. I just can't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, not sorry. And then I could easily, if this was like a first take show, could sit here and just tee off on Notre Dame for not participating in the Pinstripe Bowl and go off on a number of people. Nobody seems to go off on their head coach because he's kind of a media darling, and I like him overall. But that decision at the end of the day is at his desk. Like, you don't let the AD make that decision. You allow your head coach to certainly have input. They decided not to play. They took their ball and they went home. I'm not going to kill them over it because I don't know if people even care about a lot of these bowl games anymore. It's certainly seeming to trend to the no. But that's my thoughts on Notre Dame, JC. And I don't want to spend too much time on Notre Dame, but you had another thought on them, I think.
Yeah, I just look at it like this. Okay, so Hunter Yurachek again. I had him watch the game over again. Shut up. You didn't know this was coming? The whole country's been talking about it. They do have Miami's 4-1 in their last 5. They did lose to SMU, who is an 8-4 team.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Syracuse 38-10. Notre Dame beat them 70-7. Now, Miami did have a nice win over the perpetually 7-5 North Carolina State Wolfpack. They did win at Virginia Tech, and just like Notre Dame, they did win at Pitt. Their win over Pitt was it's 38-7. Notre Dame won 37-15. I don't know. I'm fine with Miami getting in. I thought that, at the end of the day, the reason that they weren't and then they were is probably a lot of politicking by the ACC. And, keep in mind, folks, the conferences run this thing. Notre Dame has a seat at the table too, but they're one vote. They're like their own conference. And it does suck for Notre Dame that their schedule has been completely watered down since they went to this cockamamie 5 ACC games a year. There's so many teams in the ACC now, Mike, that you may get you may get a group of 5 level schedule out of that. And that's not what Notre Dame football was founded on. They're anytime, any place, anywhere. So you got 5 ACC donkeys, and then you're probably going to play a service academy or 2. And then, unfortunately, they've had Purdue on the schedule, and it's not high times for Purdue football, so their schedule does stink. It was very front loaded. We talked about that at the beginning of the year. But it's a 3-point loss on Miami's home field the Sunday after Labor Day with a redshirt freshman quarterback making his first start.
Mm-hmm.
And then their other loss was by 1 point to a 11-1 playoff team who I think seated too low. But I don't know. And then the losses for Miami, Louisville kind of collapsed till they got to play Kentucky. And then SMU's just okay. It's a pair of 8-4 teams. I don't know. I would have had no issue with it had they just ranked them properly from the start and then not tried to shovel some explanation. But Notre Dame's mad at the ACC. They're in the ACC bowl pool. So They make the ACC money when they go to a bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that had as much to do with them withdrawing as anything. But I'm with you. The players and coaches should have had a seat at the table. The seniors didn't want to go play again. I don't know.
For every Jeremiah Love who probably would have sat out for the bowl for the NFL draft, which he's going to be a very high pick. He's an incredibly talented player, and in another given year, might have gotten my Heisman vote, which incidentally was the most bizarre ballot I ever filled out, but I feel good about it. But there would have been several players on Notre Dame that would have loved to participate in another game. I mean, that's why we compete, right? Like this whole thing of. Yeah, they're just not Where's my motivation? Your motivation is, on top of being paid now, you're a freaking ball player. You want to play another game. You want to, not just seniors. You're for a freshman. If you're Carr, you should want to play another game. I'll never understand that. One thing I would also like to say on the playoff itself. It's from our buddy Dan Wetzel, who's been on the show a number of times. We need to get him back on. And this nails the point because inevitably people just exaggerate, I think, sometimes for the sake of exaggerating. I don't like this playoff, so the BCS was better. In what universe was the BCS better? In what crap hole third dimension universe would you rather have the pollsters voting? So I guess Ohio State, Indiana, game's locked. There's your BCS championship game. Come on, man. And so Georgia wouldn't compete. Nobody from the SEC would have a chance at it. Texas Tech would be completely nullified. That story. Yes. So let's go back to the BCS. Clearly that was a better system. No, that's ridiculous. Wetzel says, quote, college football is perfectly imperfect. There's room for improvement, tiebreakers, weekly rankings, but we've gone from leaving 13-0 teams out of the playoff to debating 10-2 and 9-3 clubs. And I think that says it best. I will take this any day. I mean, I could make a case, forget about Notre Dame and Miami. I can tell you right now, Texas and Vanderbilt could have beaten both of them. I've seen both those teams up close. Nobody would have wanted to play Diego Pavia right now. Texas with Arch Manning, take a look at what's happened to that team since they hit their stride. They got 3 losses. Yeah, they lost by 7 at Ohio State in week 1. You want to talk about a system where no one is going to challenge themselves non-con now, whether it's Alabama canceling a USF game, South Carolina canceling a Miami game. You're going to see more and more of that happen as the SEC goes to 9, because apparently there's no motivation to play that extra power weight team. Because if you lose by 1 point or more, it could screw you out of a playoff. That makes no sense. So if I'm going to be upset about something, I'm going to be more upset about that than I am the whole Notre Dame Miami quandary. But with that being said, JC, I'm not upset at all. It's a great time. It's a playoff, and I'm here for it, and I'm excited about it. And we can bitch and moan about everything just like we do in basketball for number 69. But I am excited, exuberant, exhilarated about what is around the corner. I for years and years on shows like this, I begged, forget about debated, I begged for a playoff. I begged that we got out of a mythical national championship run, split playoffs, the Massey poll helping decided who's 1 versus 2, and people like the late John Saunders going on there going, well, 1 played 2, so therefore it was a successful system. No, it's not. But 1 played 2 was just so arbitrary. This is arbitrary in nature too, but I'd rather it be arbitrary for a 3-loss team than an undefeated team. And with that, I say I need some JC5 in my diet.
It's time for the top topics in the sport. We bring the JC5. Number 1.
All right, Mike, what's the future of championship games after all this? Because there's some talk about them now. I love them. I think I like them a lot. I know the SEC championship game is special. They were talking about Atlanta losing money because they were Alabama, Georgia again, but I watched that game. It meant something to the Dogs. It meant something to the Dogs last year. It means something to everybody that plays in it. I just don't know. Expansion of the playoff, their auto bids, and, Alabama not getting left out, I think was a function of protecting these. What say you? Give me the Mike Morgan opinion of them, not the it's not going anywhere, because we know the SEC is going to hold on to it. But what if you were in charge, which everything would be moving smoothly then?
Of course.
What would you recommend about the championship games?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I have a good recommendation. Like, how do you change this whole thing, right? First, if you're the ACC, let's start there.
Ooh.
Your ridiculous tiebreaker system. And people keep saying 5-loss Duke, 5-loss Duke. They only did lose 2 in conference. So that's how they got in. And then it was some elaborate tiebreaker, which I don't wish to look into or even care about. But somehow it wound up on Duke. And that could have been extremely detrimental, especially if Miami did not get in the playoff for the ACC. In terms of the SEC, that, of course, is a bird of a different feather, because if you're good enough to make the SEC championship game, you're good enough to make the playoff. I know Alabama had to sweat it out a little bit, but I said all along, JC, I didn't think the committee would dare go. I don't care if it was 56-0. They would dare go down the path and feel the wrath of Sankey if they close the door on the number 2 seed from the Southeastern Conference, which, once again, and I'm not an SEC homer when I say this, was clearly the deepest league in the land. The Big Ten might have the top 2 teams, but the SEC was still the deepest league in the land. I don't think that's even disputed by Big Ten fans at this point. Look, the SEC championship game is always going to be something that I look forward to. I happen to be in Alabama that weekend to call a basketball game, but I can tell you it still meant everything to Alabama fans. It still means everything to Georgia fans. It's the one championship game that's always sold out before they even know the matchup. And it does great ratings, and people care because you've been to the game. I've been to the game. Nothing compares to that. So you're right. I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't have an answer for you is a long answer to your question. Like, I don't know what we can do to change it to make it more relevant. It's relevant to the teams participating. If you watch that game, there was no loafing. There was no lack of intensity, lack of hitting, lack of physicality. Alabama's offense it has a lack of effectiveness right now, but that goes beyond that game. I don't know, JC. I wish I had the answer for you. I do think the games are there's a problem. I mean, even like I called Texas Tech beating BYU. I could have told you BYU was not going to beat them a second time. I saw it with my own eyes. Texas Tech was just better at so many positions with that high payroll than BYU. And so the rematch, the ACC title game is always an afterthought. And I mean, it's been entertaining because it comes down to the wire the last couple of years, but it's not going to get people excited nationally. It never sells out. And then the SEC is the SEC. I just think they're going to be part of it. People are going to complain about them, but there's too much money at stake. It's on a day in the calendar where people want it. Now I know what you're going to say, and you're not wrong. If somehow they made this play-in weekend, right? This is the model that Josh Pate and other people have talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So you take what, the 3-5, the 4-6, have them kind of play in a semifinal. The winners get in. I just don't see that happening. Maybe that's an answer. I don't know, but I just don't see it happening anytime soon.
That's the Big Ten model. And the ACC would like that too. Auto qualifiers, and the SEC obviously did a 180 on that in Destin because the coaches and athletic, they just want to let the chips fall where they may. So we'll see. I think they need to go to 16, and I'll talk about that in a second. And I think there needs to be some sort of carrot for the championship games, and I think that's home field advantage. I think it really is. I think you got to, all this, the buys suck in my opinion. But home field
I'm
advantage,
with you.
it's going to be important. I mean, and it's huge. Do something for the fans for a
change. Yeah. No, I'm totally with that. I think that's the best idea that I've heard regarding that. That's the carrot. Nobody can argue that is a carrot worth fighting for. Fight for the carrot. That's what I say.
Number 2.
All right. So you mentioned the seeding, and I'm in total agreement with you, Mike, but did Georgia really not get off a little easier? Because check this out, dude.
Mm-hmm. Georgia
will go to the Sugar Bowl, and they will play the winner of Ole Miss without Lane Kiffin and the Tulane Green Men. I used to go on with this LSU host in New Orleans, and he called them the Tulane Green Men, Tulane Green Wave. That's an American Conference team. Meanwhile, in Columbus, they're awaiting the winner of Texas A&M Miami, which, unfortunately for Ohio State, they've not played anybody that good, and except Indiana, they haven't played anybody that good since Texas. You got 30 more days off. I don't know. That's more ominous to me. And I think that is in the Cotton Bowl. So if A&M wins, my God, the Aggie, it's a road game, just like it was against Texas last year. I don't know that if I'm Ohio State, I'm not like, oh, yeah, I wish we wouldn't have been the number 2 seed now.
Right.
Your thoughts about those potential matchups?
I think you're spot on. This is where sometimes seeding doesn't necessarily mean strength of matchup. I'd probably rather play Ole Miss at this point in time. And there'll be a model of resiliency. I know they get Charlie Weiss Jr. in one of the most bizarre, this is like stuff that we would talk about theoretically, and somebody would say, come on, guys, be real. That would never happen. Yes, they're allowing Charlie Weiss to go ahead and some other assistants to go ahead and coach Ole Miss, even though they're not going to be with Ole Miss next year because Lane is poaching and bringing a lot of his staff with him. It's a little bit crazy, but that is the case. Heck, Lane even gets bonus money if Ole Miss has a very successful playoff. Yeah, I agree with you. I think I'd rather have Georgia's opening game than Ohio State's because I'm still a big believer in A&M. Now, they got beat by Texas. Again, Texas is playing Texas in the playoff. Nobody would have wanted any part of that. But A&M is still pretty damn good. I like this whole notion that based on one loss, it's been brought up several times. Yeah, but they didn't play the best of the SEC. Well, that's true in a lot of cases, but they didn't schedule a week. You could have never projected the SEC would have turned out the way it did this year. It's one of the most unpredictable, other than having Alabama and Georgia again, it was one of the most unpredictable years that we've seen in the SEC in quite some time. So, yes, the long answer to your question is I'd rather have Georgia's draw.
Yeah, it looked over. Auburn, Florida, South Carolina, LSU, all looked pretty challenging. They were all on A&M schedule.
Yeah, when you had that little printed pocket schedule, you're like, holy smokes,
yeah, you start
A&M. Well, who'd you piss off to get this? And then I was like, no, they're going to be a bunch of mediocre teams with their coaches fired.
Number 3.
Okay, I'm about to the point where I'm looking at possibly a 2-6 record over 2 12-team playoffs with the teams that get buys. Because check this out. I mentioned hypothetically A&M or Miami, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Georgia, Indiana in the Rose Bowl. And that's a big deal to go to the Rose Bowl for Indiana. It gets Oklahoma or Alabama, right? And then the mighty Red Raiders have to go to Miami and play most likely the Ducks of Oregon, who are a little bit more battle tested. I'm not saying that Indiana's not better than Oklahoma and Alabama because body of work wise they are, but some of these battle tested programs, Mike, just like with Ohio State last year, they play the upstart, they smack them down. It could be 1-3, 2-2, and that would be either 1-7 or 2-6. At what point do you say the buys aren't worth it? They're not a reward because our team takes 30 days off.
I think if you have a repeat of last year where nobody with the buy won, if you have something close to that, even if like 3 out of 4 of the buy teams lose, it's going to be, of course, I think we're going to 16 anyway, but I think it's going to be a major referendum on this. And in the classic argument, we hear it all the time, rest versus rust. And if rust prevails again, that'll be a battle cry of every coach in the playoff that we can't do this with 30 days off. Football is not a sport meant to be played where 30 days come and go between games. You just can't do it.
And it's okay if the other team's been off too, I think. That's how we used to do it. But now, it's a nice 12 days off, and then you get another 11 days off. So you're rested, but you're not ice cold. So
yeah,
that makes sense.
Number 4.
So would you say Georgia and Indiana are the two playing the two best in the country? Two teams playing the best in the country right now? Or would you say Georgia and Texas Tech? Or would you say Indiana and Texas Tech? Because I think Georgia's a different team than they were at the beginning of the year.
No doubt. I mean, the thing about Georgia, the reason why people, if they are sleeping on them, it's because their offense is not explosive. That's not how they play. Mike Bobo as well as anybody. Their offense, and Mike Bobo does a system that is fit to Kirby's expectations, which is very similar to old school Saban before he hired Lane Kiffin, which is defense first, control the game on the ground, control time of possessions, limit turnovers, but we're not going to be this flashy passing game that throws for 350 and chucks it around 40 times. That's not in Georgia's DNA. And so I wouldn't want to play any of the three. I mean, if you're asking me, like, who's the weak link of Georgia, IU, Texas Tech, I don't have one. I think those, to me, are clearly the three teams. And some would say, what about Ohio State? Oh, Ohio State's there. I wish they were tested a little more this year. And they played that Big Ten championship game. For me, even as an offensive guy, I loved every minute of it. It was an incredibly entertaining game. And unlike the other championship games, that was not a rematch. So that was great television. That was great theater to see those two teams, those Titans, finally clash. So I don't know, JC. I mean, I know what the odds are right now, if you would go to Vegas, Ohio State is your odds-on favorite in a lot of books, followed by Indiana. So those two Big Ten teams are still the favorites by many, but I don't think anybody wants to mess around with Georgia right about now. And especially Kirby's teams, they do not bend or break under pressure. You go down 10 points at the half. Do I have faith in these other teams to come back? Not necessarily. Do I have faith in Georgia and Kirby Smart? Absolutely.
Yeah, and I've seen Bobo's offense. They will open it up, and they've been successful doing that at Tennessee earlier this year. They had to. It's not, it's different than others, but what gets me, the young pups on Georgia's defense are now full grown dogs. Woo,
Yep.
woo, man. 9 against Tech, they held them to 9, and then they held Alabama, basically shut them out to negative. Alabama got held to negative rushing yards. Now the Tide hadn't been able to run the ball all year, but man, we knew they'd be young on defense. We knew they get better, and this is a classic example. Teams change, and young players get better.
Number 5.
12 sucks, Mike. I've just come to that conclusion. It's not going back to 8, right? I mean, it's an uneven number. You have these crazy, stupid, like board game, like it's almost like playing Dungeons and Dragons, which I've never played. But there's all these rules when you play like board games and stuff. Oh, but you can't do that to make the game fun. These conference champion rules, the high 5 highest, wink, wink. All right, got group of 5, take your shot, all that. They were kind of built for another era, not for 18, 17 team conferences with all these tiebreakers, all this good stuff. I think they need to go to 16, and I'm against any model that's not 1 versus 16, 8 versus 9, 5 versus 12. They have some of these stupid things that say, well, let's have 13 play 16 and let's just do it. Let's do it during Army Navy weekend. And I'm like, well, chances are if Army or Navy make it, they're going to be the 13th through 16th seeds. So what are you going to do then, geniuses? 1 versus 16. That's how the bracket's set up in the March Madness. That's how the bracket's set up in high school football. That's how it's set up at FCS before they went to 24. It's a beautiful number, man. Everybody gets a home game. That's my take. What is your magic number, Magic Mike?
DJ Magic Mike played some great bass back in the day. It's 16. It's 16 for all the reasons you mentioned, and then some. And no, there's this kind of underground movement for 24. Rick Neuheisel, who I really like, he's mentioned 24, and some other people have. And then the old caveat is, well, once you go to 16, then it'll never be enough, just like basketball. Well, I mean, basketball has been between 64 and 68 since 1985. So it's not like basketball is just
40 years, man.
It's 40 years, dude. And the 68 are really just playoff games. It's if you want to break it down to the pure essence of the March Madness, it's still a 64 team bracket. It's just a couple of play-in games. And football, we're not going to have play-in games, obviously, different sport. My hope is, JC, when they bury me or spread my ashes, I haven't made that decision yet. I'm hoping I can hold off for a while. When that day comes, it'll still be a 16-team playoff. And then, when 100 years from now, it'll still be 16. I don't think it should ever, ever, never, ever go more than 16. Because I do think there is a threshold where you ruin the regular season, and that would be it. But 16 is perfect. I have no problem going 1 through 16. I have no problem doing second round games at home as opposed to feeling compelled to incorporate every prestigious bowl game. But I don't know if I'm going to win that battle. But yes, I would love to see 16, and I think we're getting there. If you notice, they extended the deadline to expand. They were supposed to have that like December 1, and then a bunch of people got into a room and said, we need more time. I think after this last playoff controversy and selection controversy, it's inevitable. We're going to get 16. I can't figure out who loses. Nobody in that room We used to say smoke-filled room. Now we all agree smoking is pretty bad for you, and you shouldn't do it, right, JC? We're done with that whole phase.
Yeah, you're right.
And I come from a family of smokers, and I tell them all the time, please stop. Uh, we don't need any more than 16, but we do. 12 leaves us, and people will say, what about 17 then? Again, to go back to the Wetzel quote, nobody's going to feel sorry for like three-loss teams that don't get in. This year, if you had 16, what do we know? We know for sure Notre Dame, Texas, and Vandy would be in, and I don't think many people would have a problem with that. Who would be 16? I have no idea, and I don't care. But Notre Dame, Vandy, and Texas all had legitimate cases that they could play in this thing and actually compete. All right, good installment of the JC5. We'll take a timeout. We got G5 John. We've got a look ahead, and I'll revisit quickly a deep dive on one of the most amazing coaching stories we've ever seen in the sport of college football. Read some of your comments on chat row as well. It is JC and Morgan, presented and powered by Advocare. Promo code Mike Morgan, get you 20% off. How do I start the morning? Right here, Spark. You take this, you mix it with water. Here's what you get. You get a lot of vitamins, you get a lot of energy, and no sugar. When I work out later today, what do? Rehydrate. Same thing. Mix it with water. Has not nearly as much sugar as Gatorade. And if you're drinking some of these energy drinks, you might as well be putting battery acid in your gut. I mean, some of them are just absolute garbage and so bad for you. Not the case with Advocare. They also have products, speaking of your gut, probiotics. Man, I've never felt so good and so healthy taking one of those a day. You could take pills, you can mix them with water. We've had some of our listeners who had problems with sleep. You take some of their gummies that are also healthy. That'll help you with sleep. Advocare.com has something for everybody, and you don't deal with Meathead Mickey at the local health store. You just have it delivered to your door. It's Advocare.com. We are powered by Advocare. Advocare.com, promo code Mike Morgan saves you 20%. Final segment is coming up as we power on JC and Morgan.
Morning, Carl. Usual?
Yeah.
Your oldest was in here the other day. Said the two of you took a trip down to my neck of the woods. How'd that go?
You might as well give me one of those Carolina cars while you're at it.
I knew I liked that one.
Yeah.
There you go, my friend.
Thanks.
Hey, Carl. Congratulations.
See you tomorrow, ready?
You bet.
Welcome to Palm Casual Patio Furniture. Because we are the factory, Palm Casual has the ability to offer the highest quality outdoor furniture paired with world-class service. Since 1979, our factory showrooms have done our best to make the buying process as easy as possible for our customers. Our understanding of the many factors that go into your decision has helped us create our 30-day trial period that increases the level of comfort our customers feel during the shopping experience. Visit us in Somerville, Mount Pleasant, Myrtle Beach, and Bluffton, and online at palmcasual.com for our products and out-of-state locations. Go Gamecocks!
Hey, folks, want to tell you about our friends at Titan Construction Group really quick. They're a mid-Atlantic-based general contractor, specializes in retail, restaurant, and office construction. TCG strives to separate itself from other general contractors by adding value every step of the process. From project budgeting to estimation, value engineering to construction, they focus on those relationships and not the transaction. Titan builds partnerships one project at a time. Among their clients are Starbucks, Crumble Cookie, Blake Pizza, Home Goods, 15 plus years experience, based in Midlothian, Virginia, and contracted in Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. So get on their website, TitanCGinc.com. That's TitanCGinc.com. Get in touch with Brad if you're in need of a general contractor that focuses on going above and beyond for their clients. That's Titan Construction Group, a proud sponsor of the JC and Morgan podcast.
We're passionate about making sure that the Nest and Wild mattress is the best it can be. Made well and made right here in Tupelo, Mississippi. So how can we do all that? Work. Hard work. And that means something. The Nest and Wild mattress is a movement. It's a pride in where you come from and where you're going. So get comfortable, because this movement is just beginning.
This is JC Morgan on the Chief Sports Network.
College football forever.
All right, we go rapid fire here in the final segment of JC and Morgan, again, powered by Advocare, advocare.com. G5 John, if you've been listening to him, he's been all over this. Last year, he was all over Ashton Genty before anybody knew who he was. He nearly won the Heisman Trophy this year. He's been all over some of these top coaches and programs that are now, of course, moving on to bigger and better things. His final top 5 G5 rankings. Drum roll, please. Number 5, New Mexico at 9-3. Anybody know? Anybody know that? 9-3, New Mexico. Thank you, Steve. Number 4, Navy, 9-2. They of course play Army for the Commander-in-Chief Trophy in a matter of just a few days, December the 13th. North Texas, they are 11-2 on the season, and of course they're losing their coach. Tulane's 11-2. They're losing their coach. They're in the playoff, a rematch against Ole Miss. James Madison, 12-1. They will also lose their coach, but they're also in the playoff. So who would have thought 2 G5 teams in the 12-team college football playoff? Huh?
Well, I'm very happy for Tulane and James Madison. Those guys have been both schools have been consistent winners. Tulane now over 2 different coaching staffs. So
yeah. I mean, Tulane is. Look, we've talked about they used to be in the SEC. They're in a major market in New Orleans, a lot of talent. So even if you get, it's almost like the UCF model. You lose the top players to the big schools, and then in this case, they lose them to LSU. But you could still do all right with the next rung on the ladder, right?
Oh, yeah, dude. And Louisiana's full of players. Plus, it's an academic school. I mean, back in the day, they used to play Super Bowls at Tulane Stadium. It was 80,000 seats before they built the Superdome.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it was condemned. 20 years ago, after Katrina hit, though, Mike, they didn't know if Tulane was going to even have football moving forward.
I'm good friends with a Tulane alum. I used to joke with him. Are you guys going to do a bake sale to keep your program alive?
Yeah.
Remember when we did bake sales to like fund the high school football and basketball teams?
Oh yeah. I mean, it
was bad.
But they built a new stadium. It's a beautiful little stadium right there on campus. They have tradition. I love their mascot, the little green wave man.
Yeah.
I'm going to get some gear, man. Go Tulane. Unfortunately, they had to play the one team that whipped their ass this year.
Yes.
So that's not going to be fun, but
they're 16.5-point dogs, by the way, to Ole Miss.
And then remember a couple of years ago, we were all protesting, let James Madison go to a bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
Kurt Cinetti was the coach there then.
I'm getting to him. I'm getting to him.
All that. So I'm happy for those 2 fan bases. I'd rather have seen other teams in there, and I think the Group of 5 should have a playoff. But
yes,
I like it a whole lot better than SMU and Boise last year.
I'm with you on that. JMU is a 20.5-point favorite against Oregon. UConn, Jim Mora Jr. He's headed to Colorado State. Fort Collins. Is that an upward move? I don't know. Southern Miss head coach will be on. Charles Huff will be on his 3rd team in 3 years. He's going to Memphis.
Yeah.
Bob Chesney's going to UCLA, and of course Billy Napier's going to James Madison. So a lot of turnover in the coaching ranks in the G5.
Brian Hartline to USF too.
That's right. Yeah, Brian, who a lot of people thought could get, one of these
bigger jobs.
Yeah, Hartline his stock is awfully high, but that's a good job, and he'll, I'm sure, do good things over there in Tampa, because University of South Florida is not at all in South Florida. It's in West Florida, but someday they'll figure out that whole directional quandary. It bears repeating. I like to do deep dives. I'm sure I did one of these last year. I can't even remember, but just real quick on Kirk Cignetti. Kirk Cignetti is 24-2. 24-2 in 2 years at Indiana, 17-1 in Big Ten play. To truly appreciate what Kurt Cignetti has done, I think you have to be over the age of, I don't know, 30 at least. If you're over the age of 40, as you and I are, then you understand just what a dumpster fire Indiana has been our entire lives. I mean, we just, other than like Anthony Thompson a couple of years in the 80s, like Indiana has been such a toilet bowl of a job that it was considered to be perpetually awful, like nobody could win there. They hire this guy, and I know people know this part of the story. He was coach at JMU. He did a great job there, right? But his track record, I mean, the story is really more amazing when you unpeel every extra layer. He's 64 years of age. He looks like he's 40. He is I hope I am Kurt Cignetti when I'm 64. He is a young 64. He was a quarterback at West Virginia from 1979 to 1982 under head coaches Frank Cignetti Sr. and Don Nehlen. So then what does he do? He goes to Pittsburgh, not the Steelers, as a GA, then Davidson in 85, then Rice, then Temple, then Pitt, then NC State, then Alabama. He was at Alabama 07 to 2010 for Nick. He was a wide receiver coach. It's not like he was even at high profile at Alabama. He's not one of these like coordinators. Then IUP for 6 years, head coach at IUP. Then Elon for 2 years. Then James Madison before Indiana. I don't know if we will ever see a greater head coaching story than Kurt Cignetti.
Yeah, the two teams he's lost to played for the national title last year. This year, and I don't care about Penn State's record. By the way, the Pinstripe Bowl got Penn State and Clemson. That should be called the preseason freeze your ass off bowl. This is what you get. Anyway, this year, I wasn't a believer last year, Mike. Believer this year. He wanted Oregon, not an easy place to win. I don't care that it was a 3-point game, but Penn State was down and fired their coach. That team's got a lot of talent. They pulled it out there. They beat Ohio State, who they did not beat last year, and they won on the road at Iowa, which is not an easy place to win either. And then they ransacked Illinois. So those are some of the unlike last year where they had a favorable schedule. This year, dude, they played the best. Many of those wins, the only one at home was Illinois.
Yeah.
They went on the road and did this away from home. I mean, Indianapolis is right up the road, but hey.
And you mentioned last year, a number of those players were guys he brought over from JMU.
Yeah.
And they're just smoking people in the Big Ten.
And they've developed play because like their talent level, and especially their quarterback. Roark was a good quarterback, not Mendoza good.
No.
But their skill position, their lines of scrimmage, especially their defensive athleticism, all that is like almost night and day better than the team that played Notre Dame last year. So they not only are keep winning and out coaching people, they have talent. It's just not known talent. They found all these guys. It's very impressive.
And even you would know this better than I. Mendoza in the portal, were big time programs fighting like hell to get him.
No, he just kind of ended up. Indiana was like it was kind of quick. He got in Indiana. One thing that I thought about him though, he is the kid. He played at Cal last year. And Cal, I know Auburn's had problems, right? But you're a kid that went to Cal and you take them into Jordan-Hare when Auburn's still undefeated, right? It's like the Sixth Sense. They don't know they're bad, you know? And you beat them. Cal, all the way. I mean, he beat him and he played well. So, and they almost knocked off Miami last year too at Cal. So he's always been kind of impressive, but
he's probably going to win the Heisman. He was certainly on my ballot. I can't say where he was. And I think he's going to be a first-round pick, too.
Yeah, it really is one of those. It's like, oh, okay, that makes sense for Indiana. And then the more you thought about it, the more like, well, I kind of thought that Roark guy was just okay. And Mendoza could throw the ball. So I thought he'd be better passing game-wise. when I started watching them this year, though, Mike, is after they beat Illinois, because I was expecting a downfall. I was like, I better watch them. And it's as woefully unimpressed as I was with them last year when they played Notre Dame, line of scrimmage, athleticism. I was like, man, these they got some dudes, and they coach better than anybody. So, and you talk about earning it, they earned it, dude. There's no question, they earned it. They passed every test. Their schedule was challenging. You go, you win. I mean, and how great is it for those fans that are? There's a 90-year-old woman sitting in the, I don't know, it's not the RCA Dome anymore, whatever. It's Lucas Oil Field. 90-year-old woman, diehard from Bloomington, diehard Indiana fan. Football, not best football. How great is it going to be for her and everybody else, the 15 or so people that show up and tailgate every day at Bloomington that have gone through all these years to go to the Rose Bowl for a Big Ten school? That's huge. And maybe play Alabama, dude. I mean,
right. And sadly for Indiana, their basketball program has been down. As I often say about Kentucky, I've never met a diehard basketball fan that also doesn't want to see their school do well in college football. They're more than capable of loving both sports and having a passion for both. Can we not get Notre Dame, Indiana to play one another next year in week 1 of some type of extravaganza? Who would not want to see that matchup? Maybe Notre Dame doesn't want to see it.
well, Notre Dame's got the Badgers at Lambeau Field to open next year.
Yawn.
Yeah.
Okay. Doc Graybeard says Indiana and Signetti are getting coaches fired. You're damn right they are. 100%. Sam Murphy. Sam is like, I'm telling you, Sam and I think, have the same DVD collection. Fiver Dimer. We've gone over this before. We'll get more into it, especially during the off season. The Outsiders and 3 O'Clock High. Outsiders for me is neither. I've seen it like 2 or 3 times. It's a good movie with an outstanding cast. All those young Macchio, Cruz, Swayze, Estevez, like great ensemble. And if I'm not mistaken, that's a great director. Help me out here. Scorsese. That's a Scorsese flick, is it not? So, but it's a good movie. I just haven't seen it 5 times, so I can't call it a fiver or a dimer. 3 O'Clock High is one of these 2-star dimers. Loved it when it came out. Watched it on HBO 20 times. You and me are going to have a fight, no matter what you say or what you do. Trust me, JC, I can tell by the look on your face, you have not seen this, I'm guessing. It's a very low-profile movie. A lot of people in our audience have never even heard of it. Rent it. Get it for like $2.99 on Prime. You will be entertained. Harrison says he has Georgia and IU in the Hard Rock title game on January the 19th. I could see that. I would go along with that. Daddy O says, moral of the story, don't leave your fate in the hands of people that may not like you. Boy, that is true in life. Pimp on a blimp, feel bad for Vandy. Yeah, I think Vandy would have been a hell of a story, and I don't think anybody would want to play them right now. They just couldn't get they didn't have enough in the quality win department in this year in splitting hairs to get over the hump. Steven says, hopefully that'll be a long time away, Mike. When that day comes, Raheem Morris will still be the Falcons coach. I don't know what compromising photos Raheem had to even get that job, but I don't think he'll be back in 2026, Steven. But if he does, we'll all share a good laugh over that, and Falcon fans can cry. Oh, Ford Coppola. Thank you, Sam. That wasn't Scorsese. It was Francis Ford Coppola, Godfather, who made the
Outsiders.
Yeah. I thought
was
it was
actually
Scorsese.
in the play. I was Derry, the Patrick Swayze.
You were in the play
when I was in high school. Yeah.
Wow.
I sort of had
so you greased your hair back
with blonde highlights in it, and
I learned more
very
about you every day.
And fit. Yeah, and I looked a little older than the rest of the kids, so I was Derry, the older brother, the Patrick Swayze role.
Yes,
maybe we should have done Red Dawn the play too.
I know that's a dimer for you, Red Dawn.
I love Red Dawn.
You love you some Red Dawn. We love all of you folks. Thanks for tuning in. Again, there is no off season for us. We'll be back each and every week. JC, if these fine people have not already discovered us, tell the fine folks how they have done it.
Check it out, the Chief Sports app. You can download that for free on the App Store. Also, Instagram at Forever CFB, X at the number 4 ever CFB. He's at Morgan on Air on Twitter. I'm at JC Sherbert, Twitter or X, whatever you want to say. Also, we stream on YouTube at College Football Forever Chief, also Chief Sports South Carolina. Final thought for me, Mike. Penn State made the best hire they could have made.
Totally. Yeah.
Even after being turned down and going through the wilderness there, that's the best coach they could have hired out of all the names.
He should have been the first choice. I've been on the Matt Campbell bandwagon for what, 7 years?
Yeah, dude.
I thought by now he'd be in the NFL. And don't get obsessed with his winning percent. Iowa State is one of the most difficult jobs in college football. It's a great fan base, but it's tough to win in Ames. That is a superb hire. Superb. And if he does not have a better Big Ten record than James Franklin, I will be shocked. If he is not in some college football playoffs in the near future, I will be shocked. You got a hell of a coach. I'm glad you brought that up because we would have been derelict in our duties if we not mentioned that hire. So a good way to close out on.
It's like, well, we got turned down by Melissa McCarthy, but I guess we're just gonna have to go with Jennifer Aniston. Athletic directors, dude, they become less and less impressive as the
yeah. And that athletic director would have had a ton of egg on his face. But I will say this. You know it as well as anybody. You wouldn't be able to get away with this. Well, you would have because signing day used to be in February. But the fact that, he's going to miss the recruiting class is ranked 120. They're going to go to the portal, folks. And they are going to get a lot of talent in the portal. Mark my words. They got a ton of money there, a lot of resources. Don't expect Penn State to be like 2-10 last year because the recruiting class wasn't ranked highly. Agree or disagree?
Agreed completely. And Campbell, with that money, he'll be very resourceful because he can find talent.
Right.
I mean, Iowa State, if I'm somewhere else looking for players, I may have an assistant coach in beautiful Ames, Iowa right now.
Yeah.
Because they can leave because the coach left. And I mean, because he has an ungodly knack for finding talent.
He does.
And so even if they'll get some headliners, but then there'll be 4 or 5 guys they pick up that's like, they're like, wow, where'd these guys come from?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he'll do very well there. Kudos to Penn State. My first trip ever to Happy Valley to call a game this year. So impressed with what they do. And even through the middle of a terrible, just anxiety-riddled season, they still go out, tailgate, support their team in like 28-degree weather. Mad respect for Penn State and Nittany Lion Nation. Mad respect for the Mad Dog, for him, for JC. Mike saying so long. We'll see you next week on JC and Morgan.